ends the first outline. But I want you to see that picture for a moment. This man cutting himself. Can you imagine the blood loss, the damage he's doing to his body? Can you imagine that? All right. Are there any comments this time from the first outline? A possessed man meets Jesus. And we all agree that even now, in Little D.C., in Little Duplin County, we still have demon possession. We still have mental illness. Yes, Ty? That's right. That's a good point, Ty. That's a good point. Yeah. Good point. You know when you have siblings, since you mentioned that, I'm not calling names, but when you have siblings who have stopped talking, you understand that? That's a sad case. Siblings who have stopped talking. And a lot of times it's over a little piece of dirt. That's all it is. Just a little piece of dirt. Mom died, dad died, and she left me 10 feet more than she left you. You understand that? A little piece of dirt. And we get all bent out of shape. But when it's all said and done, we all return to the dust. You understand? When it's all said and done. All right, any other comments on the first outline? Yes, Kenneth? Exactly. You don't. And you see, that's a form of possession too, Oogie. That is exactly right. Drug addiction. And this fentanyl, good gracious, I reckon. And I understand that it looks like candy. And these folks are just taking this. And you don't realize what you're doing to your body. Come on now. Most of us have enough issues as it is. We don't need to ingest any drugs. When you think about it, all of us are crazy to a certain point. Now, come on now. Come on. At the close of the day, I used to tell my students when I was in the classroom, I said, I'm crazy. And they'd look at me right funny. I said, I'm crazy. And I said, I'm crazy enough to help you. That's what I would tell them. I'm crazy enough to help you. And so all of us have a little craziness in us. So the drugs, you're right, Oogie. Well, he was butterball naked, wasn't he? That's what I heard. I heard he was butterball naked. But you see, that was not him. That drugs. See, you see what I'm talking about? That was not him. That's why we have to do all we can as Christians. We have to walk it out. We got to walk it out. Yes, talk is cheap. We have to walk it out. We have to do that. What did I say about Brenda and Jerry? They have done all they know to do. Brian is still walking around here butterball naked. Crazy. Cutting himself up. So they got some help. Because they love him. They got some help. That's right, Oogie. Because we are not a professional in everything. You know, when you get to a point you meet somebody who knows everything, he's dangerous. You better, that's right, better watch out. You start talking to that person. I had a late cousin, I won't call her name, and mama used to tickle me. Mama said, every time I get ready to say something, first thing, I know that, Emma, I know that. Mama got sick of that. Every time she got ready to tell her something, Ray, I know that, Emma. You didn't know that, Emma? Mama said, no, I didn't know it. I said, how in the world does she know everything? All right, let's go to the second outline. Jesus meets Legion. 6 through 10. But when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshiped him. Now, I want y'all to park the bus on that word worship. I'm going to burst your bubble in a moment. I'm going to burst your bubble. All right, verse 7. And cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thy Son of the Most High God, I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. Verse 8, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit, come out. Verse 9, and he asked him, what is thy name? And he answered, saying, my name is Legion. Come on, for we are many. And verse 10, and he besought him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now, first of all, understand that the man who was demon possessed, the demons are talking through the man. Are y'all with me on that? I don't want y'all to leave here missing that. Yes, the man is talking, but the demons are talking through the man. Just like the incident that Oogie described at the Jiffy Mart, wherever it was in Wallace. Yeah, wherever it was, the demons were talking through him. You know, it had to be demons for this man to walk in the store, butterball naked, and he would not respond to any commands. And this was right in Wallace, right up the road. So here the demons are talking through the man. So, but when he, that's the man, saw Jesus, he ran and worshiped him. Now, worship here means respect. It means respect. That's what it means. It doesn't mean so much religion now. Don't get it twisted now. It means respected. He respected him, all right? And cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus? Come on. Thy Son of the Most High God. Stop right there. Now notice, I think this is interesting here, Denise, that the demons could recognize Jesus when the men on the ship at the end of chapter 4 couldn't recognize him. Have y'all thought about that? Am I missing something? Because when Jesus took that nap on the boat, and those men were shaking, scared to death, and when Jesus calmed the wind and the waves, and then they said, those disciples, what manner of man is this? Now, isn't that something, class, that the demons recognized, but those men could not? Yes. That's it. There's a difference. A lot of us, just like the Pharisees. I love to say it about the Pharisees. You've heard me say it before. The Pharisees knew all the rules. Listen to me now. They knew all the rules, the written rules and their tradition, the way they interpreted rules, but they didn't know the ruler. You understand? They knew all the rules, lowercase r, but they didn't know the ruler, capital case. That's the same thing Kenny is saying. Yeah, they heard. And like some of us, we heard about it. We're here because it's Sunday morning. We're here because mom and dad were here. Because remember, why are you a Baptist? Why are you a Baptist? Because your parents were Baptists. I don't care how many books you read. Because don't you know how many times you heard me say it? If you have been brought up next door in the AME church, that's where you'll be. Come on now. Or if you had been raised in St. Luke United Holy Church, that's where you'll be. So, grandma and grandpa, that's why you're a Baptist. You understand? At the close of the day. And so he cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus? In other words, what are you doing with me? What are you? Now these are the demons. And what are you doing with me? Thy Son of the Most High God. Now y'all stay with me here now. I really think it's really interesting that they could recognize Jesus when the disciples at the end of chapter 4 were scratching their heads in other parts of their body, trying to figure out, who is this man? Who is this man? And then at the end of verse 7, and this is crucial, he says, I adjure thee, meaning I beg you, by God, that thou torment me not. Oh, wait. Do y'all get that? Did you get that? No, don't leave the room. Don't go to sleep on me. Did you get that? The demons are begging God, don't you torture us. But back up. But am I missing something? Aren't they torturing the man? Isn't that ironic? Do y'all catch that? See, they're begging him, don't begging Jesus, don't torture us. But they are torturing the man, if you will. All right, now think about that for a moment, class. Think about that. And so, in other words, it's two sets of rules. You've heard the expression, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. We got two sets of rules. Even now, and it's worse now, because we got this subtle racism. Racism is still here. Oh, whoa, don't you let your guard down. If you when it's so bad, even now, when the white man, bless his heart, can get on the phone and make some calls and transact business, and when it comes to us sometimes, we have to drag everybody in the family. Everybody in the family. All right, so the point I'm making is that after he had done all of this, then in verse 8 he says, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. All right, now, so the man is demon possessed. And so these are the demons talking through the man. Remember? Demons talking through the man. So he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit, meaning demons. Come out of him. Verse 9, and he asked him, Jesus now, asked the demoniac, what is your name? What is your name? And he answered, saying, my name is what? Legion, for we are many. Now, a legion was a Roman military group that had about 6,000 soldiers in it. Now, does that mean that there were 6,000 demons in this man? We don't know. We don't know. You know, the jury is still out. We don't know that, if there were 6,000 demons in the man. All we know, there were many. This is just a point of interest here. That's what this is, because he had many demons. That's what we need to keep in mind. So he had more than one, he had more than two, he had more than 30 or 40. So now understand, it doesn't mean he had 6,000. It just simply means there were many demons. And verse 10, and he besought him, meaning he begged him much that he would not send them away out of the country. Now, I had to read verse 10 several times. I had to pull every book in the house. Come on, and do a lot of praying on that. Because I'm saying to myself, why were they begging not to be sent out of the country? Yeah. Any thoughts on that before I share what I found? Why were they begging? That's true. All right, anybody else? Begging not to be sent out of the country. Didn't want to hurt anybody. All right, good point. And then what I read was that where they were, the demons, they were in Gentile country. And this was good for them because they could recruit others. You understand that? They were in Gentile country because this is a Gentile nation. And so here they are. And so he begs, don't send us away out of the country. Another gospel says, don't send us in the deep. And the deep, or the abyss, was the confinement for Satan and his agents. Are y'all with me? Yeah. And so this area where they were was conducive, meaning it was good for them. So that's why they didn't want to leave the country. Are y'all with me here? Yeah. All right. Any more comments? That's outline 2. Anybody else? All right. Yes, David. Right. Because they were Gentiles. You ever notice when you try to recruit somebody, you want to try to recruit somebody who's on your side or potentially would be on your side? Come on now. Why would you, if you're campaigning for something, why would you campaign against somebody who can't stand you? Who can't stand you? You want somebody who's on your side. And so this is Gentile country. Thank you, David. All right, the third outline, the demon's request. Yes, Jesse? Mm-hmm. They all turned on him. They all turned on him. The demon's request. The demon's request. Verses 11 through 13. Now there was there nigh unto the mountain a great herd of swine feeding. And all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. And forthwith Jesus gave them leave. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine. And the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea. Now let's go back. The demon's request. Now we've already established, we tried to dissect verse 10 as best we could. You follow me? All right, now, so here they make a request. So in verse 11, there was there nigh unto the mountain a great herd of swine feeding. So the demons have made this request, don't send us out of the country. So they say, send us in the swine. In other words, they are trying to get rid of Jesus. You understand that? They are trying to get rid of Jesus. So they're thinking, if he sends us in the swine, this we can get rid of Jesus. That's what they are thinking. And then they were also thinking, well, we can possess the swines and then move on to something else. Now understand now, when you start talking about pigs, the Jews didn't deal with pigs. That goes back to Leviticus. Yeah, unclean. Leviticus 11, I believe. But this is a Gentile country. And you understand? So the Gentiles had pigs. Are y'all walking with me here? And so he says here, there was a herd of pigs on the mountain. Verse 12, and all the devils besought him. Oh, look at that. When I think about that, I think about what my late uncle said when they were having trouble with one of their pastors, not calling names, but having trouble with one of their pastors, and they were getting ready for communion on a Friday night, and they were looking for the pastor, and the pastor didn't show up. He sent word. He said, I ain't serving you devils. I ain't serving you devils. Ain't none of you devils right. And he refused to serve Holy Communion. My uncle said they had a meeting. They cut him a check for 90 days, sent him down the road. I ain't serving you devils. So when I thought about that, and that all the devils besought him, saying, send us into the swine, that we may enter into them. You understand that? They needed a new home. They needed a new home. Don't send us out of the country. We're in Gentile territory, familiar territory, if you will. Send us into the country, into the pigs. And forthwith, meaning at once, Jesus gave them leave, gave them permission. Leave means permission. And the unclean spirits went out and entered into the swine, and the herd ran violently down a steep place into the sea. They were about 2,000 and were choked in the sea. Imagine that for a moment. Imagine that. So you had these pigs, about 2,000, and Jesus sends those demons into the pigs. Are you with me now? And those pigs went crazy. Just like the man, they went crazy because they were already naked. But they went crazy, just like the man. And here you have this mountain, and you got about 2,000 pigs. Come on, stay with me here. And they run off that mountain and drown in the sea. Look at it now. Ken, I saw your hand. Exactly. Mm-hmm. They didn't have another choice because he's in control. Good point. They didn't have a choice. But can you think about all the money that they lost? Think about it. But you know what? The missing verses, 14 through 17, and we have to share them too because they're so important, 14 through 17, those missing verses. You see, they missed the point altogether. You would have thought they would have been rejoicing. You would have thought that. All right. So here in verse 14, that's not in your book, and they that fed the swine, meaning the workers, fled and told it in the city and in the country. And they went out to see what it was that was doing. And just like the woman at the well, you remember? Right. Jesus told her everything. Everything. He put her business in the streets. And so she left the water pot. It was time to go. She left and she said, come see a man. Come see a man who told me everything. Are y'all with me here? All right, so that's what, and so here in verse 14, and they went out, verse 15, to see what it was, and 15, and when they come to Jesus and see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion sitting, all right, here's the part I like. I like verse 15. You see, once the pigs perish, about 2,000. Remember, we're talking about demons. And we said, we don't know how many demons a man have. One demon per pig. Don't go there. Don't go there. We don't know that. Don't go there. Don't rewrite the Bible. All we know is he had many demons. And so the point is, once those pigs went crazy, they went crazy and jumped over the mountain, drowned. All right? And so I like 15. And they come to Jesus, the pigs owners. I know it. But he had to be. Think about it now. I'm going to share something else in a moment. I don't want to lose my train of thought. Look at 15. And they come to Jesus and see him that was possessed with the devil. All right? Because they remember now. Now this is, you remember when I opened the lesson? I said, imagine for a moment the before and after pictures of the man who encountered Jesus. Now before, he was demon possessed. Come on. He was naked. He was cutting himself. He couldn't restrain himself. Others couldn't restrain him. He lived in the cemetery. Now come on, stay with me. I want you to see this now, the before and after. Transformation. And so now in 15, come on, Stephanie, you remember from in-person Bible study a few years ago. 15, possessed with the devil and had the legion, one who had all those demons, if you will. Now here we go. He was sitting, look at it, and clothed, come on, in his right mind. Isn't that beautiful? In other words, right mind, correct thinking. He was normal. So Brenda, Brian is all right now. He's all right now. We have exorcised those demons. Brian, you can go back home now to mom and dad. Sharon, you don't need to slide down that pew anymore. He's all right now. You understand? We have exorcised those demons. Are y'all with me now? Okay, now stay with me now. I like that part. He was sitting. He was clothed. He was that lets us know he was naked before. All right? So now he is clothed and he is in his right mind. Friends, don't you know it's a blessing just to be in your right mind? Don't you know that? When you can recognize your family members, you still know James, And you don't call him Bill. You might. You still recognize. Ty, you still recognize Denise. You're not looking out the corner of your eye. Who's that woman? Who's that woman coming in here? It's a blessing just to have your right mind. So he was clothed, Brown, and in his right mind, Janine. All right, so then in 15, rest of 15, and they were afraid. They were afraid. 16, and they that saw it told them how it befell to them that was possessed with the devil, and also concerning the swine. And they began to pray him to depart out of the. In other words, they had enough of Jesus. They had enough of Jesus. Isn't that something? Now, let me tell you, we have done a lot of praying, but I hope you're not praying for Jesus to leave you. That's what that was. That, they were praying for Jesus to leave. And you got to think about it now. Those men, the owners of the pigs, were more concerned about the economics than they were salvation. Let me say that again slowly. Somebody left the room. Mother Garnett, somebody left the room. That's right. Same thing today, Oogie. They were more concerned about the dollar signs than the miracle. We're the same way. Sometimes we miss the miracle because we're more concerned about the possession. Are y'all with me here? Sometimes we miss the miracle. And that's what happened here. Yeah. We miss it. Yeah, think about that for a moment. Yeah. So they weighed the difference. But a soul has been saved. A soul has been saved. That's what we need to look at here. You understand that? But now understand now. If they were my pigs, I'd have been upset too. That's a lot of money going down the drain. Are y'all with me here? That's a lot of pork. A lot of money. I don't know the value. I didn't research that part. I don't know the value back then. But use today's value. What 2,000 pigs would sell for. Use today's value in 2023. Yes, Jesse. All right. Okay. Oh, okay. Yes, Ty, you got a comment. Mm-hmm. That's true. Exactly. Good point. Kenny made that point. I like your analogy. Good point. Poon, I see your hand. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you. But I like 17, that's not in your lesson. And they began to pray him to depart out of their coast. Leave us. Jesus, get out of here. Now, Brenda, I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Jackie. But I'm not having Jesus to leave me. I want that. Give me a closer walk. What's that song? Just a closer walk with thee. Just a closer walk. All right, so let's finish up now. The clock is ticking. Y'all making me work today. You're making me work. The last outline, the freedman's request. Verse 18, and him when he was come into the ship, meaning Jesus, he that had been possessed with the devil, the demon-possessed man, prayed him that he might be with him. Now guess what? This man now is so happy. He says, Jesus, I want to follow you. I want to go with you. You think about it. Jesus freed him from all those demons. Now, don't get twisted up on 6,000. We don't know how many he had. That's just simply said he had many demons. And so he said, I want to go with you. All right, verse 19. Howbeit, meaning but Jesus suffered him not, meaning Jesus wouldn't let him go. All right? But saith unto him, go home. All right, come on now. Go home to thy friends and tell them how great things the Lord hath done for thee and hath compassion on thee. In other words, he says, no, you can't go for me. You go home. First, you go to your first home. Go back to mom and dad. Tell them. Clean it up. Apologize. I'm sorry for what I put you through. Maybe it was a word you said. Come on. It might have been that silent treatment. You know how we are sometimes. We're on our way to heaven anyhow. That anyhow crowd scares me, Jeanette, because they want to live in the way they want to live. On my way to heaven anyhow, the silent treatment, that little look you gave. So first you go to your family. Then you go to others and you make it right. In other words, you have to clean up what you messed up. All right, so he says, go and let them know that the Lord hath compassion, had mercy. And finally, 20, and he, meaning the demoniac, departed and began to proclaim in Decapolis how great things Jesus had done for him, and all men did marvel. Decapolis is an area that has 10 towns in it, if you will. And so they began to publish that. He began to publish that. So Jesus wouldn't let him go. That you stay here. Because remember now, the man is a Gentile. So if he stays here, what did I say earlier? Maybe he can recruit other Gentiles. Are y'all with me? Yeah. So somebody has to tell the story. So he told him to stay for recruiting purposes. Is there a comment? Yeah, very good. All right, now let's go to the takeaways because the clock is ticking. The takeaways. If there was a before and after picture of your life, what would it look like? What is one of the most noticeable transformations that has happened to you because of Jesus? Don't answer. Just think about it. A before and after picture of your life. What would it look like? What's the most noticeable change in your life because of Jesus? Number 2, the forces of evil never win before Christ. Y'all believe that? The forces of evil never win before Christ. Number 3, nothing is too hard for God. Number 4, the Word. The Word provides assurance that what man cannot tame, cannot subdue, Jesus can tame. He can subdue. And the last one, you heard the pastor say it, and I've said it several times. You cannot come in contact with Jesus and remain the same. That's the lesson for today.
Okay,